Hello everyone, my name is Mr. Tiger and welcome to the second episode of Minecraft Chunklock. Yes, last episode we did start with the house that is behind me, and we also discovered some things here in this world. And of course we also opened up some chunks, because that's what this playthrough is about, just in case you don't know what Chunklock is. So if I walk over here to the border, you see these shadows here, and I cannot access these chunks. If I want to access this chunk, I would need to, pay 1 dirt in this case, but the more chunks I open, the more expensive they get. And I started right around there where this pillar is. That should be in the first chunk that I started in, and then I expanded my world down there, and I also expanded it mainly into this direction, because over there is a pillager outpost which you might make out through the shadows, and I didn't want to get close to this pillager outpost in the early game, so I started to open up the world away from the outpost, and later I discovered that there is actually a acacia village over there. Now when the shadows are not there anymore, because they have the render distance of entities, so you see them plopping in. They are there, but they are not visible right now, and with them not visible you see properly that there is a village on top of this mountain over there, and I really want to reach this village rather soonish. I don't know if I cannot reach it this episode, but we will really work onto it. And yeah, that being said, of course the main goal for this episode is exploration into this direction. And with that being said, there is one thing that I have mentioned in the last episode, and that is that I want to make my playing zone here as open as possible. So I want to stick to a rectangular, or even better, a square shape of my playing zone, if that's possible. However, I think that I can allow myself to make some, exceptions for it, and one exception would be to make a pathway over to this village. Not a 1x1 chunk, maybe I'm thinking more about 5 or 7 chunks thick, the pathway. And when I have done that, of course, when I reach the village, my next course of action would be to open up all the chunks in this corner and in this corner, so that we get back to the roughly square shape. So yeah, that is the idea that I had, just so that we can reach the village earlier, because I think that getting to the village will be very important, and the chunks will get very expensive rather early. I think they will get expensive sooner than later. And that's why it's important to reach the village, to get the villagers, to get all the resources, the iron from an iron farm, to possibly also get the diamond tools. And yeah, that's why I want to rush over to this village. And there is one more thing that I need to do very quickly. Now I should be able to sleep. Because I did notice it during editing of the last video. Of course, I think most of you people also noticed it. There is at least 1 log missing. Maybe there would be even more logs missing, and I think normally it looks better if you also pull out the logs a little bit more. So let me just do that. One simple adjustment here on the starter house. I don't know. Yeah, over there I actually did it. on the back side. On the front side, I did not do that. Yeah. Also, something really seldom for a Minecraft player to prefer finishing the backside over the front side. Well, don't see that very often. But yeah, I think we should head on, and I will head over to the corner of the world that I now have to open up next in order to get to the village. And yeah, then let's see what we can do in order to make the access to the village a little bit quicker. Okay, so now we are standing here in the corner that I need to open up next, and it looks like the village is quite close, but that's still, I think that's easily more than 10 chunks deep. So yeah, it will take a good amount of materials. I mean, you already see over there it was 1 item that I needed. Now here I need 11 wool, and I also here need 11 raw pork chop. Fun fact, I still don't have any carrots or potatoes, so I cannot breed my pigs here. So I don't really even have the 11 raw pork chop. So that's why it is a little bit more difficult to open up these chunks. But I think I can settle with opening a diagonal that goes, well, if I can open the chunks, of course. 1, 2, 3. This chunk here, of course I can't open this. 1, 2, 3 would be this one. I think that's also dirt. No, that's actually granite. Oh. So I would say I will open up 3 on this side, 3 on this side, and then I will make the diagonal over there. I guess that's a good amount of chunks. Yeah, it's still a lot of work, of course. Yeah, I think it would be better for me because I don't really like the 1x1 tunnels in Chunklock. So I think a 3 over there, 3 over there would be 6, and the corner chunk is number 7. So I think 7 wide is a good tunnel size. So I think I'll gather the resources here and I start digging this tunnel. I have a good amount of resources already, but I don't know if I have enough resources to get that. Yeah, so let me get into my working zone and start drilling this tunnel, narrated by Post Commentary Tiger. Let's go! Yes, so I almost immediately went back to my base to check if I had enough resources to open the chunks. And while I was worried about granite before, I actually had enough this time. However, I was lacking some beef, so that's why I had to stop by my cow pen to see if I could get some. On the way back to the border, I took some extra dirt and some acacia logs with me, as well as a saddle. I did remember that there was a donkey just outside my playing zone, and I wanted to see if I could get it with just 1 or 2 more chunks. However, the donkey was not really friendly and kept running away from me into the closed chunks. Animals and mobs can enter closed chunks normally, so I had to make sure that the donkey was not near a chunk before I could start the taming process. I soon got him, and so I had my first pet in this world. By the way, in episode 1 I actually found a name tag in the mineshaft, so we can name the donkey. Do you have any good names? Feel free to leave them in the comments. Since there was a river between the current location of the donkey and my starter house, I decided to leave it leaded to a fence post for now. I know it's not really nice, and I totally plan on making proper bridges as well as some stables for the donkey at a later point, but for now my focus was on expansion to reach the village. And expansion was getting rather hard. I originally planned on a 7 wide tunnel, but it turned out that there were multiple chunks with hard requirements like pork chop, bones and arrows in the way. So I actually had to do what I originally planned to not do at all, the 1 chunk wide tunnel. I did however make the plan to open it up immediately when I got more resources. Over the next hour I spent most of my time opening the chunks up to the village, occasionally traveling back to my starter house to get more resources. I managed to reach the first house of the village sooner than I expected. No villager nearby, but I just assumed that for now they were in a different part of the village. So I continued opening more chunks towards the center of the village when... What? No way! Yes, that was actually a skeleton spawner right below the village. This was huge, since bones were one of the resources that currently were very hard to get, and making a small skelly farm would help a lot to open up a bunch of chunks that I had left out so far. For now though, I put a torch on the spawner to deactivate it and continued exploring the village. So far I haven't seen any villagers, so I was starting to get a bit anxious about them. The center point of the village seemed to be empty, as well as the upper part where a couple of more houses were located. Finally, from the well at the center point towards the western cliff, I did hear the familiar grunt of a villager. Since I still couldn't see them and they seemed to be underground, I assumed that they had fallen into a hole and were not trapped or something like that. I dug into the wall and then down a bit, and finally I found the villagers. And it actually seemed to be the perfect setup, since 5 villagers were trapped in a cave. Perfect size to start some trading, and with 5 villagers I would also get some iron golems to spawn. This village was really handing me everything on a silver platter. I could barely believe it. There had to be a catch to it. I quickly made a better entrance to the villager cave and organized some beds for them to get them more comfortable. I then looked around a bit more, opening a couple more chunks, when it struck me what this village was missing. The fields had only wheat and melons. There were no carrots or potatoes, so pig breeding was still not possible. So to get the pork chop production going, I actually had to be lucky and get some drops from the zombies now. And since zombie noises were constantly nagging me while I was walking through the center part of the village, I decided to check the cave entrances nearby. Maybe I could find a second spawner for zombies? I mean, technically I had enough luck for the day already, but there still was a chance, right? I found a spot in the cave where the mobs seemed to gather in front of a ledge that they could not climb. And there was a crazy amount of mobs down there, almost like a natural mob farm. I did farm some of these mobs and even went to bed here for the night to get some more mobs right after it. It worked really well for a kind of a natural mob farm, well, until it didn't. Yeah, I totally forgot that I had no access to the caves behind me and thus could not light them up. So I guess I deserved that death. It's a bit sad though, since I wanted to see how long I could last without a death here in this world, and only getting to the second episode seemed kinda lame. But on the other hand, this completely validates my point in not playing hardcore, because losing this world after finding such a nice village, I would have been devastated. Luckily, it's not hardcore and I went back to pick up my stuff. I was lucky that there was actually no more mobs in the cave, but I didn't want to push my luck further and left this place to return to other activities. Activities like getting back to my starter house for some wool to make enough beds so that all villagers actually can sleep. Before returning to the village, I did a quick round of meat gathering and used the first bones from the spawner to open some chunks. I had not kept track of how many chunks I had unlocked so far, but the game kindly reminded me. Back to the village, I also had brought some workstations to start some trading. One smithing table for tools and a fletching table to provide the emeralds from the stick trades. Sticks were not really perfect, since the only wood types I had so far were oak and acacia, which were both not really nice to chop, but it's still the best trade that I had to generate emeralds. While doing the first stick trades, I removed the wheat farms outside in order to make some room for a manual acacia farm. There was, however, one loaded chunk in the way which needed lapis to open it up. A trip to my storage revealed that I did not have enough there, so I had to make a mining session. So I spent about half an hour down in the strip mines. And it was almost hilarious how pathetic it was. I did not find any lapis, just to notice on my way back up that in the staircase shaft there was an exposed lapis ore in the wall. One better look on the way down would have saved me the last 30 minutes. Well, at least I had found one diamond and a good bunch of redstone down there. After sorting in the loot from this mining trip, I quickly updated my goal list to wrap up the first recording session. So I have now just updated my goal list. So for the exploration goals, of course, we don't have the reach the village anymore. We now have the goal to make the area around the village bigger and also reshape the entire playing zone into a rectangle. I don't know if I can get the square shape anymore. It might be too big for that. But anyways, I can at least get the two big pockets that we have. So this pocket now over there and the one over there. These two I want to open up. And maybe I can also find a good spot for my main base in that area. Or in these areas. I don't know yet. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Exploration requirements, still we have pork chop that we need, and potato or carrot from zombie or village was there before. Well, doesn't look like we get any carrots or potatoes from the village because there was only wheat aside from some melons. So that's why I don't think that we get anything there. In terms of dirt, long term, we need also a farm for that. I think we have some terraforming lined up that we will get some dirt from for the short term, but for the long term, I don't know what we can get. Yeah, build ideas. We have two new build ideas, village, the iron farm, and the trading hall. I kind of have an idea on what I want to do. But for now, that's it. I do have some white wool and I also need to get some of the lapis that I just brought into here. So we need the wool for some beds. And we also need some building material quite soonish. Because I want to make a iron farm in the village. I need some beds for that, and also I need some beds for a trading hall, and I want to increase the number of villagers over there. I can do that quite well, but for that I need a little bit of materials. Above all, I need beds. And yeah, of course, I need to do a little bit of terraforming beforehand, and I hope I can do that. But for now, the sun is falling, and for me, when I'm recording this, I've already recorded for about 4 hours, again for this episode. And I think that's about it, what I can do for today, and the rest I have to go to see when I can do it on another recording session. So yeah, let's swap over to the next recording session. Okay, so it is now the second recording session for the episode, and I want to go over to the village. I have prepared some materials here. I have prepared some wool and some lapis. The wool is partly for chunk unlocks, partly for beds, and the lapis is mainly for the beds. And I want to check what I can do today. I want to make a little bit more space, maybe get some ideas for terraforming, and then we'll see what we can do here. Because I really want to bring the idea to life to make a villager trading hall, and I also want to make an iron farm, because up to now the villagers did not produce any iron. So I have to see what I can do in that department. But yeah, for now, let's just head over and see what we can do. Yes, okay, so last time I already started a bit terraforming here, and I wanted to have the lapis here in order to open up this chunk here. And I will also open up this one in a minute. But for now, I'll have to see what I can do here, because my initial idea was to make a bit more of a flat space here, so that I have a space to make a trading hall, and also maybe make a bit of a construction up here to create the iron farm. And now that I see this, I actually am getting a bit of an idea on what I could do, and I think, yes, that could be a thing. So maybe I could make like the trading hall, as I said here. I don't know if I want to include this cliff here, make a connection from there into the trading hall, like a second floor. I don't know yet. Could be an idea. But first I want to have a proper building here, and maybe I could make like the building ending at this point here, so I need to remove that stuff over there. And maybe, yeah, making out a bridge-like structure that is going over a little bit and then is hanging a bit over here onto the lower part of this mountain, maybe supported by a pillar, and on top of that is the iron farm then. That would give me the option to have the iron farm suspended in mid-air, which is normally good, because you want to minimize the spaces where an iron golem could spawn, so it would be good to have it suspended in mid-air. It could be more difficult to get a zombie in there. I'm not sure if I want to get a zombie in there. Maybe for the start could also be enough to make the slow iron farm. That is only working half of the time. That could be also a possibility. But yeah, I think I have an idea. But for now, to make this idea happen, I need a bit more space here. And I also think that I should give myself a little bit of private space here for the building site, and maybe I'll just occupy this house over there with some chests and get the tools up there so that I can work from there. And I think that's actually the thing that I can do for now. Yes, there is not much going on in here, so just give me everything of that. And let's just head up here and let me make a little bit more space here. Oh yeah, there's already a chest, that's good. So just give me the bed here. Let's remove this part, then the chest into here. I don't think that I need the paper on short term, but I of course can also use the stone tools here. I'll take a second axe here, and I also take the 2 shovels for now. The acacia wood, don't think I will need that, so I can make that into planks. And I can get the crafting table from below. Or maybe, do we have a crafting table here? I don't think so, at least for now. I still need to get over to this part there. I think there's a bed inside. I need to check this house at least. So yeah, I need a bit of gravel. And then I can see what I can do. But yeah, for now, let me get into my building mode and let the Mr. Tiger from the post commentary handle the rest of what is going on now. So let's go. Yeah, right, just hand it over to me again. Seriously, why do I always have to do all the talking while the me from the recording can just chill out while playing? I want to go playing right now as well. Anyways, I started the session by flattening the terrain south of the village center. This was the place where I wanted to make my trading hall at a later date. For now, I prepared the space for a manual tree farm to improve my stick trades. At the same time, I also started opening more chunks at this place, as well as getting access to the last villager building in the village. While looking around the village, doing some further planning, I noticed that the 5 villagers in the cave did finally spawn in another iron golem. However, while I still was looking at it, I got distracted by my Discord on the other monitor, and when I noticed that the game was still running, one of the villagers had already escaped. Of course it was the nitwit. So I could either try getting them back to the cave again, or I had to tackle the iron farm sooner than expected. I chose the second option, fetching some cobblestone from the skeleton spawner to start a temporary bridge to a platform in the air where I wanted to make the iron farm. Of course I did not have enough materials, but before I went back to my home at spawn, I decided to harvest the wheat around the village to store it away. While gathering the wheat and removing the fields, however, I got a bit distracted, and I guess I let the footage speak for itself. Yes, that was the second death in the series, and the second one in this episode. This time I actually got punished by the game for this death. You see, I died next to a locked chunk, and items that are not intentionally thrown away by a player are just handled as any other entity, meaning that they can't just pass the border to a locked chunk. So these items were now in a chunk that was still locked. And it was even locked by a raw pork chop of all things. No chance of getting these items back before they despawn. I really need to be more careful. I still want to have as few deaths as possible in the series, and that one was just dumb. After mourning my last stack of wheat, I went over to my starter home to fetch some cobble. I also brought over a lava bucket that I took from the strip mine during the end of the first recording session. Also, I noticed that I would need to breed my villagers if I wanted to make an iron farm, and with bread being the only available food source to do so, I did not store the wheat like I planned before, but brought it back to the village. There I did build up the iron farm. I made a 5x6 platform floating in mid-air and put 5 beds on it. Then I brought the escaped nitwit and another villager that didn't have a job yet. I then gave these 2 villagers some bread to make them have a family. If you're familiar with iron farms, you might know the next step. It was time to get a zombie. Well, actually it was not. You see, there are multiple conditions for villagers to spawn iron golems. Groups of 3 villagers spawn them when they get scared by a zombie or a pillager. But groups of 5 villagers or more spawn golems just by gossiping with each other. So by adding 5 beds in the villager chamber, I would not need a zombie for the farm and could start making the golem spawning chamber right away. For the collection system, I fetched some iron for my starter house to make some hoppers. I did consider it a down payment to get a better return on iron soon. After that, I just had to put in the lava and the water, and then I had to make sure that no golems could spawn on the bridge to the farm. Then I just had to wait until all the villagers in the farm became adults. Yes, do you hear that? It happened! We now have a working iron farm. It is not a really good iron farm. It is slower than the iron farm that you would have with a zombie. At least it is only working during the daytimes. However, since I mostly sleep through the nights, that shouldn't be making that much of a difference for me. But what is making a difference are the 9 iron that have already spawned in here from that farm. And yeah, I'm still on a bit of a deficit because I needed like 4 hoppers here, which are 20 iron, but this one will now passively give me some iron as long as I'm here nearby. So I can now make some more stuff here in the vicinity. I can maybe think about if I have an idea for the trading hall. I don't actually right now, so maybe I will postpone that for a little bit longer. I could maybe make a proper spawner here or a proper farm from the skeletons. That would be one possibility. Another one would be looking how I can secure the area over here a bit more. There is one chunk here that is a bit of an eyesore for me, which is the this one, which is needing the 15 spider eyes. Because I know that there are also other chunks that need spider eyes, and yeah, getting spider eyes is a little bit more on the tricky side. However, I do have a cave spider spawner over at spawn, so I might be able to get spider eyes from that one to make a good farm, even though I admittedly don't really like the cave spider spawners, because these are a little bit tricky to set up on the farm part, because you have to be a bit more precise when going for the farm. Well, I guess I have to do that in order to get this chunk open here, so that I can close up maybe this part over here. I'm not really sure if I want to just access everything here and lighten everything up so that no mobs spawn anymore, or if I want to just close it up to look what I can do there. I'm not really sure what to do with that part. But yeah, that's the theme of this Let's Play series. I don't have an idea on what I want to do, and I'm just figuring the stuff out myself. And while doing that, I explore the world, and I will also see where I can do certain types of things. I mean, actually, I also didn't really look around, and that's also one thing that I often do, just look around. What can I do where? It is an interesting terrain over there with very much space. But it looks to me that there is only savanna. Well, we will find out what we will get in the future. For now, we have a working iron farm, and now I also can start gathering some more wood. I can start organizing my inventory, and yeah, maybe I can tear down the most of the houses here as well. I don't know about that yet, but for the time being, I think I would more or less use these villagers here to get a setup for trading running and to get some diamond tools. I think that is my next goal. So yeah, it's good that I have the iron golem over there, or the iron spawner, the iron farm. Iron spawner, wow. It's good to have the iron farm over here, so that I can use this iron to level up my toolsmith, and maybe I can add an armorer later and a weaponsmith. I don't know yet, but for now I think I will just see what I can do here in terms of, yeah, getting some more emeralds, getting some tools here, using mainly the axes here to chop down more trees outside, and like that I can get more sticks again to get more emeralds, and yada yada yada. Like that we can get a good amount of trading running. And maybe I will actually make a makeshift trading hall down here where we even have some librarians. I could even envision that, because right now I don't really have an idea on how I want to go with the trading hall, what style I want to build. So yeah, I guess I'll just make some more progress in just leveling up these villagers over there, and yeah, then let's see what else we can do. I don't know yet, but I will inform you once I have an idea, of course. Yeah, of course he will inform us. Or maybe not, and that's why I need to step in again. And to be honest, it's better that I'm post-narrating the next part, since the following hours of playtime were packed with some time-intensive stuff. That would normally be a bit more on the boring side for you all. You see, the ideas that came up for a trading hall were all a bit on the bigger side, and it would take quite a while until I got in a position to make them happen. So I decided to make a temporary villager trading setup in order to get enchanted diamond gear. When I upgraded my toolsmith, I sadly only got a trade for a diamond axe. However, there was no trade for a shovel, so I had to build the shovel from diamonds that I already had mined. The diamond pickaxe from the toolsmith also had only efficiency and unbreaking 2, so fortune and silk touch had to come from librarians. Speaking of librarians, at that point I planned out which book trades I wanted for this temporary setup. I also considered some options for diamond armor, but especially there I did not plan with all enchantments. For now, I planned with the ones that would help me the most immediately. Unbreaking, mending, efficiency and silk touch to get good tools. Secondly, fortune and looting to get more drops from the ores and mobs. And finally, protection as the only armor enchantment to be more stable against mobs. But it would take me a good amount of time to get all that. So I first got back to spawn and fetched some food and store away the diamond tools that I already bought for now. If you're wondering why, I have this weird rule that I normally play by. I want to use up all the tools that I bought from a toolsmith to level them up before I, in quote, unlock my diamond tools. It's something between not wanting to be wasteful by just throwing stuff away that I already paid for, as well as reminding me how slow some of the stone tools or iron tools can be compared to diamond. Anyways, I picked up a couple of beds and some bread to start the villager breeding in my trading hall. I also brought some more materials with me. Since I now had reached the village, I had decided to gradually open up more chunks on each trip that I was traveling. Back in the village I placed the first lecterns as well as some beds. Since I had to wait a bit for the villagers to get some children, I started various tasks in the village. For example, the basic tree chopping to get enough sticks for all the emeralds. But I also started digging some space around the skeleton spawner to prepare the first steps for a small mob farm. When the first librarian appeared in the village, I started my absolute favorite thing to do in Minecraft, destroying lecterns to roll some book trades. I was lucky to get the first of my target trades after only a couple of tries, and it was looting of all things. The next trades needed to wait a bit longer since child labor is still prohibited in Minecraft, but I soon got a surprisingly cheap trade for protection 4, which I decided to keep despite the armor being planned for later. And the cheap trade on prot was soon followed by a rather cheap one for mending. Since it was getting late for me IRL, I decided to leave it at that and continue working on this trade setup in another session. The following session I quickly picked up some more materials for more lecterns and books and went back to rolling trades. However, I was wondering how the me from before did not go insane with all the villagers running around and pushing me away while I wanted to check for the trades. So I decided to put the librarians in dedicated trading corners for now. With now having an easier way to roll the trades, I soon added Silk Touch, Unbreaking and Fortune to the already present trades. So, there we have it. Still in my copper armor and of course also with the copper tools, but at least the tools should change soon. Because if I can show you here the large chest, you see we have looting, protection, mending, silk touch, unbreaking 3 and fortune 3 coming from one villager each. So out of the 7 librarians that I wanted originally, only the efficiency librarian is missing. I'm thinking about maybe making one extra for feather falling, because I tend to fall down quite a lot here in this world. So I do have a total of 3 villagers that don't have a job yet down here. I don't really want to breed anymore, but it would be fine making 2 more of these villagers librarians. So I can do that. And I thought about it, and I most likely won't do a second toolsmith, and I most likely won't do a weaponsmith. So that means that I need some diamonds for a shovel and a diamond sword. The armorer most likely will cover me with everything that I need in terms of armor. But yeah, I think I will need 3 diamonds, and I only have 2 for now in my chest at spawn, so I will need to do some more strip mining. So that's why I want to take the fortune book with me. I think I'll also take the unbreaking and mending and make the diamond pickaxe that we have at spawn. That one will be my fortune pickaxe, I guess. Yeah, I think that's the best choice of action. So, yeah, I'll get over here, prepare an anvil, and while it's raining, I'll see if I can head back to spawn. I think 1 stack of iron should be enough to make an anvil. I'll take that one with me to spawn, and then we will also take these 3 books. And yeah, I'll go over to spawn and prepare everything for a quick mining session and see if we can obtain some diamonds. So let's go. Excuse me? 4 diamonds? Okay, I guess I'm finished for what I wanted to do here. Well, guys, that trip was a little bit shorter than I wanted. Oh, wow. I don't know. Well, I guess I can still do a little bit more of mining. Maybe I can find some more materials. And to be honest, I also need to get rid of some of the iron pickaxes here, because I now have a good fortune diamond pickaxe, yes, but I normally don't like to waste my tools, so that means that I normally want to fully use my iron pickaxes, at least the ones that I have left. So this one, these 3, and I think I have 1 more left in my storage. So yeah, that's why I will do some more strip mining here to use up the iron pickaxes. Of course, if I encounter any ores here, I will take them out with my fortune pickaxe. And yeah, let's see what we can find. Well, that was uneventful. At least when it comes to danger. We got also almost no diamonds. We have only the 4 diamonds coming from that cave. It's kinda interesting that I was thinking about, yeah, we can either do the long tunnels here on this side, or we can do the short tunnels. Let's do the short tunnel first. Then I come upon this cave here in the short tunnel, having the luck that only one mob is out there in this cave, and then I also immediately see 1 diamond, and it gives 4 diamonds from 1 ore. That is almost too much luck. But yeah, I will just quickly make another tunnel into here. I have already broken up my pickaxes, at least my iron ones. So I'm currently using the fortune pickaxe. Yes, I still have an iron pickaxe up in my base, but I wanted to finish the 1 tunnel. So I kind of knew that it shouldn't be that much more until I would hit the main tunnel here again. So yeah, I'll just take out this redstone here. Redstone is the most part that I got here. 2.5 stacks, which is actually quite good. I mean, normally redstone is one of the resources that I would get from villager trading, but the village that we found doesn't have a cleric, and with Chunklock you never know how fast you can get to a nether fortress when you reach the nether. So as soon as you enter the nether, you never know how far you have to travel in the nether to get to another fortress. So I don't know how far I need to go until I actually can have a brewing stand. And as long as I don't have one, of course I don't have a cleric for trading redstone. So yeah, that's a bit of a problem. And while I have this problem, it's always better to have at least some redstone on hand, since I'm a little bit of a redstone guy. I also like my farms often needing redstone. And yeah, that's why I definitely want to have enough redstone in order to make the stuff that I want to do. But yeah, we are back here. I'll just quickly move everything in again, mainly the deep slate and the ores. 5 stacks of redstone, 4 stacks of redstone, sorry. How did I count 5? I don't know. Okay, we now have 4 stacks of redstone. We have 3 diamonds left over. I will need some diamonds here. I don't have any sticks right now. Wow. Not good. Okay, I'll just leave the diamonds in my inventory then. I can smelt this gold at a certain point, and I also can smelt a little bit more iron. Yep. Flint and gravel can go over here. Tough should be somewhere here. Yes. And the mob drops from the 1 skeleton. They can go in here. So it is now getting night. And I'll need to check. I have 1 more iron pickaxe. Okay. So I'll use this one first. Then I will use my diamond one. And I also have only 1 iron axe, 1 copper axe left. So I will also pick my diamond axe with me. Okay. And I guess I can harvest this here. That gives me how much? A little bit over 30. It's like 10 books. That's good. So that should give me enough to make maybe 1 more lectern. I don't know yet. I'll definitely make all of this sugar cane here into books, and then I'll head over to the village and see what I can start trading to also get my stuff here enchanted. Also, I should have some sticks over there in the village, so that's why I'm currently holding on to the diamonds and not crafting them into anything else. But yeah, I'm also running out of leather, so I might want to enchant my sword first. 11 books. I think with some trades for emeralds I can get enough materials here to get a well-enchanted diamond sword. So yeah, I'll head over and see what I can buy in books to enchant my tools and make a shovel and a sword. So see you when I got it. Well, the next segment spent over almost 3 hours, but boy, I was productive during that time. I went over to the village to, yet again, chop some wood for sticks, for emeralds, for book trades. I was going for unbreaking and mending for all tools. Also, I did craft a diamond shovel and a sword from the diamonds that I mined. The sword would also get the first looting book, and it did have the priority for now since there were a lot of chunks needing animal meat to unlock. And looting would help a ton with that. After I got the first couple of books, I quickly went back to spawn to enchant my new diamond sword. Then, of course, I did a quick breeding session to see how effective the looting would be. And it turned out to be very effective. One round at the chicken pen alone gave me almost 90 pieces, with sheep and cows giving a bit less. But I wanted to make sure to just get a few so that the population was still growing. I then used up the old copper and stone sword for a quick fishing trip since salmon just drop 1 piece regardless of looting. Shortly after that, I got visited by another 1DT, but they were still not very friendly to me. This one had literally nothing to use for me, not even one new type of saplings. I went on going down into the mine shafts that I discovered in the first episode. There was still a cave spider spawner that I now made into a makeshift cave spider farm. There were some chunks that needed spider eyes to open them, and this was my best shot at getting them rather easily. Cave spiders are a little bit tricky though, because they are only half a block tall, meaning that they can slip through the gap between a slab and a regular block. That's why you normally need additional trapdoors to make the gap smaller. I quickly farmed up some spider eyes and went back to the surface and over to the village. Here I also finished turning the skeleton spawner into a small farm. This time though, I made a bit more effort using proper water streams, because I was sure that I would frequent the scully farm more often than the cave spider farm. After getting about 1.5 stacks of bones, I continued with more woodwork and trading to prepare some books for my remaining tools. While waiting for the villagers to refresh their trades, I unlocked a good amount of chunks around the village and the connection to my starter home. It felt very good to see how much space was opening here in this area. And the trading also went very well. I got all the books except for efficiency, which I was still lacking a librarian for. And I also got a second diamond pickaxe, including everything to make it my silk touch pick. Ladies and gentlemen, I may present you my new diamond pickaxe. This time with silk touch. Only efficiency 2 because I still don't have the enchantment for that. Or at least we don't have the librarian that sells the book. The efficiency 2 is from the raw pickaxe that the toolsmith is selling. But for now I can use this very well, at least after the iron pick here is done, so let me put it away for now. We still don't have any armor, any diamond armor, still running the copper, but that's not a problem. I will get the diamond armor at some point. And yeah, it is now the end of the third recording session for this episode, and the progress is really good. I'm really glad about it. We reached the village, we got all the resources that we need from the village. We even found the skeleton spawner, that is really nice. And yeah, we also now have looting and fortune to get the maximum out of our ores and our mob loot. That is very nice. And I think I will make another recording session for this episode, where I will mostly focus on opening up more and more chunks, especially in the corners. If we look over there on the village, we made a tunnel to the village, which I said that I don't really want to do. I did it because I realized that if I really stick to my rule that I want to make a square shape playing zone, then we most likely would have to open up to maybe 600-700 600, yes, I said it. That was a choice of word. Maybe 600-700 chunks I would need to open up. And yeah, I didn't really want to wait for that long until I got my diamond tools here. So now I have to, catch up a little bit when it comes to opening the chunks. So I have to open these whole pockets here and this whole pocket here until I have the square or at least rectangular shape again. I have reached the outer bound over there that I currently want to do. That is just beyond the village. I have reached that, and depending on how I'm cutting it, you might have seen that I've already started opening the chunks from that corner into these two corners. But yeah, I think I will make one more recording session where I mainly focus on opening more chunks, and I will heavily summarize it again. But unless something really important happens in terms of what I find, I think I will most likely just, focus on the grind, getting the resources, opening the chunks, and it might be a multi-hour session with just a minute of a summary. But yeah, I'll see to that, and I will summarize it for you, but what will happen there I will see when I play it. So, on to the next recording session at another time. Yes, so let's see what a Mr. Tiger randomly does during a recording session that is supposed to only be focused on unlocking chunks. And I guess we'll start with the most important one, because after about 90 minutes of good progress and some more times getting annoyed by chunks that require pork chop without needing to breed pigs, I remembered that I in fact had a pillager outpost next to my starter house. Yeah, I know, big news, tell me more. But it was actually important because I remembered that the chest in a pillager outpost has a chance to contain carrots or potatoes. So I decided to test my luck once again, and I opened up the chunks and fought my way through the villagers onto the top of the tower. And sure enough, the chest not only had one of the desired resources, but both. On one hand I was very glad to finally have them, but on the other hand I kinda felt dumb. I mean, how often did I complain about not having carrots or potatoes? And all the time I could have had them if I just had decided to come over to the outpost. So, aside from the chunk opening, I quickly flattened some terrain to build a proper pig pen, as well as a better farming space to also include the potatoes and the carrots. The carrots were soon used to breed my pigs, while the potatoes in baked form became my own main food source to get me away from the fishy diet I had up to now. By the way, the pillager outpost also had some vines hanging at the side, which I collected to maybe grow some more of them later. Vines come in handy as a decoration and a resource for mossy cobblestone and stone bricks. Speaking about resources, later I stumbled upon some random brown mushrooms sitting below a tree, which I didn't know that it was possible in the acacia biome. But I won't complain. The mushrooms were a first for me in this world, so another resource unlocked. Aside from all that, I had a very successful session and made good progress on the chunk unlocks, only sometimes being held back by more challenging requirements. The most random chunk was one that wanted to have 24 blue banners. Without the proper villagers to buy them from, I would need 144 blue wool to make that happen. So I singled out one sheep and dyed it blue to gradually make that happen. But that task would take me some more time to finish. For now, I finished this episode with just over 450 chunks unlocked and a really good state to start some proper building in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I did making it. Please leave a like if that's the case, and if you want to see more from me, I'd appreciate if you subscribe to my channel. With that being said, thank you for watching, and hopefully until the next episode. Bye for now.